Welcome to Firm, folks. Fairness in Reporting Media. Mark Merrill here. Well, the Dems keep serving up evil. Recognize George Soros? You ought to by now. He's very dangerous, not just evil. First, Americans, those of you and me who value and cherish free speech, unlike others, and sometimes, I suppose, take it for granted that it will still be the norm in culture and society when we wake up every morning and go to bed at night. Well, here's the latest BS threat against the world of conservative speech from George Soros' Open Society Foundation. It's not a pretty sight, folks. Believe me. Blaze Media reported a few hours ago, foreign collusion, question mark. Maybe you can see some of it. We will read it. The opening statement anyway. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, whose symbol this is, moves with unprecedented speed to approve Soros's capture of 200 plus radio stations with foreign cash just before the 2024 election. The leftist billionaire and Democratic mega donor has been leaning on the Democrat controlled Federal Communications Commission for months in hopes of fast tracking his group's acquisition of over 200 radio stations in over 40 markets in the United States, including, here comes the bad news, stations that run shows from Glenn Beck, Mark Levin, Eric Erickson, Sean Hannity, Dana Loesch. You get the picture. On September 18th, the FCC reportedly adopted an order to approve the purchase, meaning that in a matter of days, Soros will likely take control of the communications to over 165 million Americans. That's close to almost half the country. With the help of unvetted foreign investors, whom Democrats have spared from the FCC's customary national security review process. Nationally syndicated radio host and Blaze Media co-founder Glenn Beck asked Trump-appointed FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr about the Democratic FCC Commissioner's apparent willingness to co-sign Soros' latest play for narrative dominance. Censorship is what it is. Carr made it clear it's an unprecedented decision for the commission that would not have alternatively been accepted were Soros a partisan of another stripe, a decision that comes amid a broader weaponization of government power against free speech. We do have here, folks, a portion of that conversation Mr. Beck had with Brendan Carr, and believe me, it is quite important, and hope you get a lot out of it.
Brendan, tell me, do I have this right, first of all, about the George Soros takeover of radio stations? And if so, why was there an exception made and fast-tracked?
Well, as you know, the New York Post has a story out last week, or actually yesterday, that says that the FCC last week adopted an order that effectively fast-tracks Soros's purchase of these 200 radio stations. And I haven't, commented on that publicly, because the fact is the FCC hasn't released a final decision to the public yet. But the reporting is that we adopted it last week in a 3-2 vote. I've been outspoken on this particular issue for the reasons that you talked about. We have a very clear process at the FCC that we've set up that could take 6 months, could take a year to go through to review the foreign ownership at issue here. But for reasons that are not sort of plain to me, the FCC Commission, for the very first time ever, has skipped that process for the benefit of this Soros-backed group. And I'll sort of let people draw their own conclusions about it, but again, it's an unprecedented decision for the Commission.
Never happened before.
That's right. We, at the Commission level, adopted one way that you can buy radio stations if you have excessive foreign ownership, which they do. And that one process is this lengthy 6 to 1 year national security review, and it's been skipped here. Now, a lot of these stations are probably just, classic rock or news, but not all of them.
And they don't have to be.
They can switch. There's a number of Sean Hannity, same with Dana Lash, same with Mark Levin. So there's at least some of these that are, conservative news and talk outlets.
I got to tell you, if this was a conservative doing this, I doubt the FCC would have okayed it. Any ramifications? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, Glenn, we actually have that example. So not too long ago, maybe a year or so ago, there was a group of conservative buyers that wanted to purchase some South Florida radio stations, and a number of Democrats spoke up very loudly and said the FCC cannot allow these conservative outlets to buy these radio stations because, in the Democrats' view, it could cost them elections in South Florida. And amidst that pressure campaign, the conservative buyers abandoned the deal. And so we've seen across the board concerted efforts by Democrats to sort of weaponize the government to go against conservative speech. There was California Democrats in Congress that wrote a letter to cable companies telling them to drop Fox News, Newsmax, and OAN because of the editorial decisions that their newsrooms were making. We had a Baltimore Democrat prosecutor called on the FCC to investigate a local TV station that was exposing her own corruption. And so this is sort of the reverse side of a pattern that we've been living under the last couple of years of weaponization of government power, in my view, frankly, against free speech.
So there you have it, folks. Basically, it's Soros throwing his money around, as I call him, folks, and I'm not afraid to say it. He wants to come after me, go right ahead. The angry Jew is at it again. And it's ridiculous. It's got to stop. How does he get stopped? By taking his money away. How do you do that? That's a damn good question. Now, the only other thing we have here, folks, is one thing we're going to read a little bit further on into this release from Blaze Media, Glenn Beck's program. As you already heard from Commissioner Carr, Brendan Carr, Soros took foreign investment to make his bid. Now, the one he wants to go after is Odyssey Communications, I believe they're called. We're bringing it up here in the report as we bring you this program today, folks. This special edition of Firmed Fact Files. The Dems are cooking up more evil. Apparently, Odyssey had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection back in January of this year to reduce its debt. A few months later, the bankruptcy court for the Southern District of Texas approved the reorganization plan. That's all it is, folks, reorganization, paving the way for an equitization of over 80% of the company's debt. But then, guess who starts stepping his big fat nose and wallet into it? Soros's fund management acquired $414 million of Odyssey's debt, nearly 40% of the company's senior debt emerging as the company's primary shareholder. Yuck. Damn. Representative Chip Roy of Texas and Senator Ted Cruz, also of Texas, and other critics noted, however, that such a transfer would be problematic as the reorganized company would exceed legally acceptable foreign ownership limits. Section 310B4 of the Communications Act of 1934, by the way, that established the FCC, prohibits foreign owners from having a stake in a radio station license exceeding 25%. Soros got his way. Say, oh, well, we need an exception to that rule. Throwing again his money around and his restrictions of being a foreign ownership. This would take the step through the FCC, through the 5-member FCC board, of not only waiving the restriction in order to allow the purchase to move forward, but of putting off a national security review of the station's foreign interest holders. I don't know about you folks, but you know what? I've kind of had enough of this asshole. You want to ban me for saying it? Bleep me out? This is what it's against, folks. It's against the foundation of the Constitution of the United States, and it's pretty much aimed at Donald Trump. And this is kind of like a silver bullet since the first two didn't work. What else do we have here, folks? Well, we're going to show them to you instead of flipping the pages. You recognize it. It's the Declaration of Independence, specifically paragraph 2. We the people have always had the authority, and it's about time we all got off our rear ends and done something about it. We need to protect our children and our grandchildren. It's all about truth, courage, and honor, and bravery to stand up to all enemies, foreign and domestic. No other way to put it, folks. These, as you've seen many times before here on Firm, are the triggers and the enemies of our state now, and also free speech, as we've posted time and time before, and they're circulating around central Maine on our vehicle. Don't trust any of them. In the meantime, folks, we thank you for joining us on Firm, Fairness in Reporting Media. I'm Mark Merrill. As always, we are about truth, facts, reality, and common sense, and defender of the First Amendment. You can find our podcasts on rumble.com/fairnessmedia1, YouTube, Twitter, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right here. Email us at fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. Stay informed, folks. Do your research. Pray. And peace to all.